Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Aishma and today I'm going to be sharing my USMLE journey with you. Since I'm done with my USMLE exams, I wanted to share my journey with you and to discuss what I would have done differently if I had to give the exam all over again. So let's get started. I'm going to start by answering all the frequently asked questions that I receive from my colleagues, my seniors and juniors who are deciding to pursue their career in the US. When is the best time to start preparing for your USMLE? If you are an international medical graduate like me and you're already sure that you want to pursue your residency in the US and you know the field that you want to pursue in, it's better that you start preparing your USMLE journey from the beginning of your medical school. It would be very ideal if you gave your exams after you complete the first 2 years of basic sciences, that is the curriculum of our MBBS, and you give your board exams and you give your step 1 exams. Since the step 1 exams are pass and fail now, so it would be easier and would not require a long time to prepare if you are preparing alongside your board exams for your basic sciences. For me, I started preparing for my USMLE from my internship. There is someone who prepares for the USMLE after they have started working a few years, and some even after pursuing their residency in their home country. So there is no best time to start preparing for your USMLE. However, a lot of programs do have a cutoff of graduation year. So some have a cutoff of 2 years to 3 years, some have a cutoff of 5 years, and so it's best that you start pursuing and preparing for your USMLE as soon as possible after you decide that you want to do it. One of the questions that I receive frequently is what materials I used for preparing my step 1. And this is, I think, a very good question, because when I was preparing for my step 1 during my internship, I felt like I did have information of a lot of material that was already available, but I didn't know how to use them and which materials would be best for me. Now, I started with Kaplan videos and I used to watch them rather infrequently because I was doing my rotations. I was also working on a few papers and a few other things. So I felt like I couldn't give continuity to these videos. So I completely gave up on the videos and then I started doing first aid and QBank. So I used UWorld as my QBank. You can use any QBank. And what I felt personally is I should have invested my time in first aid and QBank initially rather than spending my time on the videos. Now, this is my personal opinion. It depends on how much knowledge you already have and what kind of time that you can give for the preparation of your step exams. Now, for me, I had limited time available, and since I already had a very good baseline knowledge of the basic sciences during my medical school, I felt like a quick brushing up with just the QBank and first aid was enough for me. However, if you have a lot of time and you can indulge in watching a lot of videos, Kaplan videos are very detailed. If you want to watch brief videos, then you can always do a boards and beyonds video and you can do a first aid review with that. Do you recommend any self-assessment for step 1? So since I gave my step 1 during the score system and now the step 1 is pass fail, so my analogy to this might not be relevant in this situation, but since I gave it in the score system, I definitely found self-assessment to be helpful because I had a lot of anxiety building up when my exam was near, and I felt that I wanted some assurance that I was going to pass easily in my exam and I was going to get some average score in my exam. So I did give a lot of self-assessment. I did an NBME self-assessment. I also did UWSA 1 and UWSA 2, and I gave free 120. I gave my AMBOSS self-assessments, and what I felt is throughout my self-assessments, since I gave it in different phases of time, I did see some self-improvement in me with increasing preparation. Any suggestions for test day? Yes, a few suggestions. So the first one is get adequate amount of sleep. That is something I would recommend. Sleep at least 8 hours before your test day so that you are well rested, you can give a long exam. Second thing, pack a lot of food, and I felt that it was very helpful for me because when I was taking my breaks, I felt very drained out, so I needed some energy, so I was eating constantly. I wasn't eating heavy meals, but I was eating constantly during my break times, and I felt that that really helped me energize and concentrate better. The third thing is I would suggest that don't hesitate on drinking fluids, drinking a lot of water, because you can take breaks in every block. And I also recommend the fourth thing is that you take breaks in every block, because you will have adequate amount of time if you can manage that time by seeing the tutorial early on. So I did feel like I took very quick breaks, but I did take breaks, and I took break after every block so that I could use the restroom if I wanted to, drink a lot of water, eat anything, so that I would be more energized. The fifth thing that I would recommend is don't be anxious if you aren't able to solve any question during your test day. I think it's very important that we prepare ourselves that we won't be able to solve all the questions in the test day. That there will be some questions that you have no idea what they're trying to ask. You might not be familiar with the options that they have given. And I felt that personally I was very anxious when I couldn't solve these few questions I was getting every block. And it's very important that you keep your cool. You can mark these questions and come back to them at the end of the block and solve the questions that you're already confident with. So these are some of my suggestions for the test day. So what would I do differently if I had to give my step one again? So the first thing is I would definitely start doing my first aid and Q bank from the beginning instead of spending time on doing the videos, because I personally felt that doing the first aid and Q bank for me was the best way to go. However, this is different for everyone. The videos are very good, and if you have time to indulge in them, definitely do that. Second thing is I wouldn't overload myself with a lot of information a week before the test day, because if I don't know if it caused any harm, but it did not cause any benefits to me, so I would definitely be more relaxed during the last week of my exam. So what were my study materials for step 2? I think after you've given your step 1, you recognize that what fits you best to prepare for your exam. And for me, since doing Q bank and doing first aid was the best course for me, I felt that I would just do the Q banks during my step 2. And I did UWorld. You can do AMBOSS, you can do both if you have time. And I felt that that was adequate for me. I also did UpToDate. I went and searched in UpToDate for any information I felt was inadequate in my UWorld. What would I have done differently if I had to give my step 2 again? Yeah, so I think one thing that I felt that I hadn't done is I hadn't prepared my own personalized note during my step 2. There were a lot of algorithms and flowcharts when I was studying my step 2, and there were a lot of criteria about certain things. And I wanted to review that during the last few weeks of my exams. And I felt that because I hadn't made that note and I didn't have a personalized note, I felt that it took me a lot of time to search through my Q bank and find out those algorithms and go through them. When should you give your step 2? Now this depends on when you want to apply for your residency. Since I wanted to apply for 2022 application, so I wanted to finish my step 2 and be ECFMG certified before that. It took me around 3 weeks to be ECFMG certified, and I got my score after 2 weeks of giving my exam. So keeping that in mind, and you want to keep some technical difficulties, sometimes you might not receive your ECFMG certification in time. So it's best to be done with your exam around June or July if you want to apply in time. When did I give my OET? My OET, I gave it before giving my step 2. It depends on you. You can give your OET after giving your step 2 as well. It's beneficial if you give it before giving your step 2, because it takes 3 weeks for OET to publish their results, and unfortunately if you don't do well, if you don't pass the OET, you will have time to give it again. If you give it after giving your step 2, you'll have to wait 3 weeks for the results of your OET, and you'll have to wait for ECFMG certification, so the process becomes longer. So I would recommend that if you have time, you can give it before giving your step 2 exams. Does it matter if you fail your OET? So the only thing that matters if you fail your OET is that you'll have to spend more money again to give the exam, and you'll have to wait a longer period of time for your results, because no matter how many attempts you do in your OET, it won't matter. It will only matter when you pass, and that result will be available to your ECFMG. Is it necessary to give step 3? So it's not necessary to give step 3 to apply and also to match into a residency. You can give your step 3 during your residency as well. But the benefit for an IMG would be that you would be qualified for an H1B visa, and you would be done with your USMLE exams. When should I give my step 3? So I'm done with my step 3, and what I would recommend is, if you have plans to give your step 3, plans to travel to the US, you already have the visa or you already have the date, it's best that you give your step 3 immediately after giving your step 2, especially within a month of giving your step 2, because step 3 has two parts. It has day 1 and day 2. Day 1 mostly depends on your knowledge of your basic sciences or your step 1 knowledge, and day 2 mostly depends on your step 2 knowledge. And since you have a lot of charts and tables that you are studying in your step 2 CK, so it's best to give your step 3 when you are fresh on that knowledge. Is the Prometric in Nepal different from the Prometric in the US? So I also had this question when I was giving my step 3, and I felt that what if the Prometric is very different, and that sort of anxiety for my step 1, it was starting to return. But when I gave my part 1, I realized that Prometrics, they have a standardized protocol, so Prometrics anywhere in the world will have similar rules and regulation. Can we give step 3 after December? Yes, definitely you can give your step 3 after December. However, because there is going to be a change of pool in January, so your results might be delayed, and there are a lot of programs that will require your step 3 before your match day. If you are aiming for an H1B visa and you want the programs to receive your step 3 results before your match day, definitely it's a safe bet to give your step 3 by the time of December. Any tips you'd like to give for someone who's starting the USMLE journey? Everybody's journey is very different. It's like a roller coaster ride full of ups and downs. There are a lot of downfalls, but there are also, again, a lot of exciting moments. I think it's a very good time to build a very strong clinical foundation to work as a resident and work as an independent physician if you're doing your USMLE. Now, my experience might be very different from someone who starts preparing for the USMLE during the medical school, and again compared to someone who prepares for the USMLE after completing a residency in their home country. It also depends on the amount of baseline knowledge that you have. It might be very difficult for someone, it might be more easier for the other person. Everybody has their own journey, and I hope that my experience is helpful to anyone who's thinking of pursuing a career in United States. I know there are a lot of questions that still need answering. I just answered the frequently received questions that I got from my juniors, from my colleagues and my seniors who are thinking of pursuing their career in the United States. If there are any questions that you want me to answer that I might have missed, please drop it down in the comment section below. If there is any information that I might have miscommunicated, please do let me know, and I'll see you again with my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.